This season, the 2026 NBA season, it was a masterclass in human impossibility. Every week, somebody did something that made you stop whatever you were doing and rewind the clip 3 times just to make sure your eyes weren't lying to you. Today, we're going on a journey through the greatest dunks of the 2026 season, regular season and playoffs. We're going to feel every single one of them. We're going to be inside the arena, inside the moment, inside the madness. Let's start the countdown. Picture this. Dallas misses a layup. P.J. Washington can't convert at the rim, and the ball bounces out. 1 second. That's all it takes. 1 second between a routine missed layup and a fast break that ends with the whole Mavericks bench going quiet. Naz Reid grabs the ball and he's gone. He's running, pushing it up the floor, and he's not a small man. This is not some skinny little guard flying down the court. Naz Reid is big. He's physical. And he's doing something behind his back with his dribble while he's going full speed. Behind his back. In transition. Now here comes Daniel Gafford. And listen, if there is one thing Daniel Gafford does better than almost any center in this league, it is blocking shots at the rim. He's a nightmare to finish over. He times those blocks perfectly, and he had positioned himself to do exactly that. He's set up at the paint. His arms are ready. He has seen 1,000 guys try to finish over him and stop them all. Naz Reid does not care. He rises up. He throws it down. Over Gafford. Through Gafford. Practically on top of Gafford. The arena erupts. The bench jumps up. And Reid, he just keeps running. No celebration. Like it was nothing. Like he does this on any given Tuesday. That's how you open a countdown. That's number 10, and it still belongs in a highlight reel. Brandon Ingram is one of those players who moves like water. Smooth. Effortless. Long arms, long strides. When he's locked in, there is almost nothing a defense can do to stop him, because he doesn't look like he's going fast until you realize the defender is already behind him. The Hornets thought they had this one under control. They were set in their defense. The paint wasn't supposed to be open. And then suddenly it was, because Ingram found his lane and he attacked it like he'd seen the future and knew exactly what was going to happen. He gets to the rim. A defender challenges. And Ingram finishes. Not around him. Not a little floater, not a scoop. He finishes through the contact. Over the top. Like the defender simply wasn't there. Raptors fans lose their minds. That's number 9. Let me set the scene. The Hornets are on defense. Kyle Kuzma, a solid, experienced player, has the ball and he's about to make a pass. He thinks he sees something open. He thinks he's reading the defense correctly. He's not. Brandon Miller reads the entire play before Kuzma even starts the motion. Miller reaches in, snatches the ball, a clean steal, and suddenly the Hornets are running the other way on a fast break. And rather than find a teammate, rather than slow down and set something up, Miller says no. I'm doing this myself. He takes it all the way. Gets to the rim. Kuzma, to his credit, tries to recover. He races back. He gets there in time. He puts his body in the way, trying to take a charge, trying to at least slow Miller down. But Miller rises. And he finishes through the contact with the kind of power that you feel in your chest even watching it on a screen. The referee calls the foul. It's a 2+1 opportunity. And the crowd noise goes from loud to absolutely deafening in one single instant. Brandon Miller. Number 8 on the list. And he's still young. He's still growing. That is the scariest part of all. Charlotte Hornets. Against the Pacers in an NBA Cup game. And this one right here, is a size mismatch story for the ages. Treyman is 6'4". He weighs 178 pounds. He is built like a shooting guard because he is a shooting guard. Long, lean, athletic, but not what you would call a physical mauler. Miles Turner is 6'11". He weighs 250 pounds. He is one of the best shot blockers in the entire NBA. His whole job at the rim is to erase exactly the kind of play that Treyman was about to attempt. There are plays in basketball where you look at a matchup and you think, there's no way. The physics don't work. The size difference is too much. You're going to need to find another option. Treyman did not find another option. He attacked the paint. He went straight at Turner. He jumped, and he posterized him. Violently. That's the only word for it. It was a violent dunk. The kind that makes everyone in the building collectively gasp before they cheer. The kind where even Miles Turner's own teammates are wincing on the sideline. Man threw it down over a 7-footer like it was nothing, in an NBA Cup game, in the middle of November, and gave everybody a warning that they maybe weren't taking him seriously enough. Remember that name if you haven't already. Now here is where we start entering a different level. Because everything we've talked about so far has been impressive. But this play, this Jalen Williams play, is something else. It starts on the perimeter. Williams has the ball and he's looking at the Memphis defense. There are 2 Grizzlies players right in front of him, close enough to reach out and touch him. Any sane player in this situation is looking for a way out. A pass. A pullback. Something safe. Jalen Williams splits them. Right between 2 defenders. He bursts into the lane and for a half second it looks like he's home free, but then he looks up and there are more defenders waiting. Christian Koloko. Jaren Jackson Jr. Both of them. Both converging on Williams at the same time. 2 elite rim protectors who have combined to destroy hundreds of attempts at their rim this season. Williams doesn't stop. He doesn't hesitate. He rises into both of them and he finishes the dunk as they close in on him simultaneously. The ball goes through. The crowd at Paycom Center loses it. The Grizzlies players look at each other like they're trying to figure out how that just happened. And here is the thing about Jalen Williams that makes this even more meaningful. He came into this season with injury questions. People weren't sure if he was back to full form. And then he went to Memphis and dunked on 2 of their best defenders on the same play, like a personal announcement. And it's only getting better from here. Cam Whitmore is one of those players who looks different from everyone else on the floor. Not just taller or longer, different in a deeper way. He's built differently. He moves differently. When he gets the ball in transition and points himself at the basket, defenders instinctively know something bad is coming. This dunk was in transition. Washington had the ball in the open floor and Whitmore was running. He got the ball and he pushed toward the rim with the kind of force that makes the backboard rattle. A defender tried to get in his way. That was a mistake. Whitmore went up with the left hand, the big lefty jam, people called it, and threw it down with so much power that the replay became one of the most shared clips on social media for weeks. The sound of that dunk. Even through a phone speaker, you can hear the difference between a regular dunk and a Cam Whitmore dunk. The Wizards had a tough season overall. But on that night, Cam Whitmore gave their fans something they could keep. Something they could replay on their phones and show to their friends and say, "Yeah, we've got that guy." Stop. Before I even describe this, I need you to understand what was standing between Anthony Black and the basket. Not 1. Not 2. For players from the Memphis Grizzlies all converging on the same spot at the same time, all of them aware that Anthony Black was coming, all of them ready to stop it. In basketball terms, the fast break was dead. There was no angle. There was no gap. The defense had done everything right. Anthony Black elevated. He went up, above the traffic, above the outstretched arms, above the confusion and the chaos of 4 bodies trying to occupy the same space, and he finished the dunk. Cleanly. Emphatically. Like he had jumped over a traffic jam and landed softly on the other side. The Orlando Magic bench went absolutely insane. Teammates were off the bench. Players were pointing, screaming, grabbing each other. Even the coaches had that look on their face, the look where you're supposed to stay professional but you physically cannot because what you just saw did not seem possible. Anthony Black plays with a calm confidence that makes everything look easier than it is. But even for him, even with all the athleticism he has shown, this play stood apart. This play was special. 4 defenders. 1 Anthony Black. No contest. Late in the 4th quarter. Portland is up 3 points. The game is close. Every possession matters. Portland is moving the ball around the arc. Patient, deliberate, not trying to force anything. Sharp gets the ball in the corner. He takes 1 dribble. Then he attacks the basket. Russell Westbrook, the Kings' veteran guard, sees what's happening and he does exactly what a smart defender is supposed to do. He comes over to cut off the drive. He puts his body in position. He is going to take the charge. He has done this thousands of times in his career. He is ready. Shaedon Sharpe jumps over him. Not around him. Over him. He leapt over a man who was in his path and threw the ball down with both hands while Westbrook was underneath him, looking up, realizing what was happening. After the dunk, Sharpe turned and posed. He flexed. He let the moment breathe. Because why not? Because that was one of the most athletic plays seen on an NBA floor in years, and Shaedon Sharpe knew it, and the Kings knew it, and the crowd in Sacramento knew it. They might have been cheering against Portland, but they still cheered for that dunk. Because you cannot see something like that and stay silent. Sharpe finished that game with 23 points. Portland won. And for days afterward, the internet could not stop talking about what he did to Russell Westbrook. I want you to think about what a self-alley-oop is. It's when a player throws the ball off the backboard, to themselves, and then catches it and dunks it. It's a trick play. It requires perfect timing, perfect placement, perfect execution. Guards sometimes do it in the open floor, usually with a running start, usually in a highlight reel moment that happens once in a great while. Victor Wembanyama did it from outside the paint. Standing still. He picked up his dribble somewhere beyond the painted area. He was not in motion. He was not in a transition situation. He was just standing there, facing the basket, holding the ball. And then, as if he had done this 100 times in practice, he stepped forward, threw the ball off the backboard at the exact angle needed to come back to him, and then he caught it in midair with those enormous arms and dunked it. Without any resistance. No defenders challenged him. Maybe they were too shocked to move. Maybe they blinked. Because nobody jumped. Nobody reached. Wembanyama threw the ball to himself off the backboard and finished the dunk while the Warriors' defense stood and watched like they were in a museum looking at something they didn't fully understand yet. The announcers didn't know what to say. The crowd made a noise that wasn't quite a cheer and wasn't quite a gasp. It was somewhere in between, the kind of sound you make when your brain hasn't finished processing what your eyes just saw. There is only one Victor Wembanyama. He showed that against the Warriors with this play. And this is just what he did in the regular season. Wait until we get to the playoffs. But first, let's talk about the postseason. Because everything we've covered so far happened in the first 82 games. And then the playoffs began. The New York Knicks. The San Antonio Spurs. Two franchises from opposite ends of basketball history colliding in the NBA Finals. New York, a city that had been starving for a championship for decades, and San Antonio, young and dangerous and led by Wembanyama, who at 22 years old was already being called one of the most unique players the sport had ever produced. Their path through the playoffs gave us moments that will live forever. And the dunks in those games were different. The energy was different. The stakes were different. Every single play felt like the weight of a season, the weight of years of work, was riding on it. Which brings us to the biggest dunk story of the entire 2026 season. This game was electric from the opening tip. The Spurs had beaten OKC in Game 1 in Oklahoma City, a road win, away from home, in one of the loudest buildings in basketball. Castle had played 49 minutes in that game. 49. He scored 17 points, had 11 assists, had 6 rebounds. He also made some mistakes, 11 turnovers as part of the Spurs team total. But the Spurs won. The Thunder wanted revenge. Isaiah Hartenstein, one of the best defensive centers in the league, was ready. The crowd was ready. Oklahoma City was ready. Stephon Castle was also ready. In Game 2, midway through the game, Castle gets the ball and he drives. He is moving with a purpose. He's going toward the rim and Isaiah Hartenstein is there. 7 feet tall, broad, physical, experienced, a man who has been paid enormous amounts of money specifically to protect the paint. Castle jumps. He doesn't go around Hartenstein. He doesn't try to draw the foul and go under. He goes up and over. He throws it down on top of Hartenstein in one of the most powerful poster dunks any guard had put down in a playoff game in years. The building goes silent for 1/2 second, that silence where 20,000 people all freeze at the same time because they can't believe what they just saw, and then it erupts into noise. Courtside cameras caught Victor Wembanyama's reaction. His face in that moment became almost as famous as the dunk itself. Wemby had been calling for an alley-oop as Castle started to drive. Castle ignored him. Castle took it himself. And Wembanyama's expression, surprise, then delight, then something like pure joy, said everything. His teammate had just done something magnificent. The NBA tracked it using their dunk score system, which analyzes every dunk using player tracking data, measuring the jump, the power, the style, and the defensive contest. Castle's dunk on Hartenstein scored 116.9, the second highest dunk score of the entire 2026 postseason. Think about that for a second. Every dunk. Every playoff game. Hundreds of plays. And this one landed at number 2 on the entire list. Castle came into Game 2 averaging 19.7 points per game in the playoffs, shooting 41% from 3. This was a player who had already won Rookie of the Year. A player who was averaging 16 and 7 in his second season. A player who was already, quietly, becoming one of the most important young guards in the league. And then he went and dunked on Isaiah Hartenstein in the playoffs, and the whole basketball world stopped to pay attention. The Spurs would go on to eliminate Oklahoma City in 7 games. A Game 7 road win for the ages. And then they went to the finals, where they faced the New York Knicks, who had swept Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals and were playing with the kind of confidence that made you think maybe this was finally going to be their year. The Knicks won that series. 4-1. New York got their championship. But before any of that happened, Stephon Castle gave us a dunk that people will be watching for the next 10 years. And that brings us to number 1. The greatest dunk of the 2026 NBA season. And here's the thing, this is going to surprise some people. Because there were bigger, more powerful dunks on this list. There were more athletic moments. There were dunks that were harder to believe from a pure physical standpoint. But this dunk was something no one on earth could have done. Because this dunk required a body that doesn't exist, except in one human being. We talked about it at number 2 in the regular season rankings. But let's go deeper this time. Let's really feel it. Victor Wembanyama is 7 feet 4 inches tall. His wingspan, the distance from the tip of one hand to the tip of the other, is measured at over 8 feet. 8 feet. Think about that the next time you're standing next to a door. His hands can be on one side of a room and the other side at the same time. When Wembanyama reaches up, when he fully extends those arms above his head, the ball is at a height that most players cannot reach even with a running jump. His standing reach puts the ball almost at the rim level before he ever leaves the ground. Now put that body outside the paint. Now make him throw the ball off the backboard at an angle that brings it back to him, at rim height, in the exact spot he calculated it would return to. Now make him time the jump perfectly so his hands are there when the ball arrives. Now make him finish it, not a layup, not a roll, not a soft touch, a dunk. That's what he did against Golden State. And no human being other than Victor Wembanyama could have done it. Not because of the athleticism alone. Not because of the coordination alone. But because you need both, the wingspan to reach those heights, and the precision to throw the ball at that exact angle, and the timing to be at the right spot at the right moment, and the basketball IQ to even conceive of doing this in a live NBA game. The Warriors didn't challenge him. They might have been too stunned. Or maybe they looked at a 7'4" man about to throw the ball off the backboard to himself and understood, on a deep instinctive level, that there was nothing they could do about it. When Wembanyama dunks the ball the normal way, it looks different from everyone else's dunks. The ball comes from a different height. The trajectory is different. The way the net moves is different. Everything about watching him dunk is slightly surreal, like watching physics cooperate in a way it wasn't meant to. This one was in a completely separate category. When it happened, people compared it to the dunk contest. They said it belonged on a highlight reel for the next 20 years. Analysts spent days breaking down the mechanics of it, trying to explain how it worked, and most of them ended up shaking their heads because at a certain point, the explanation breaks down. You run out of comparisons. You run out of historical references. You just have to sit back and accept that you are watching something new. Victor Wembanyama. The San Antonio Spurs. One backboard. One basketball. One dunk that no one else on earth could do. The greatest dunk of the 2026 NBA season. So that's the list. 10 plays. 10 moments that stopped time. Naz Reid going behind the back in transition and throwing it down over a shot blocker. Brandon Ingram finishing through contact like the defender wasn't even a factor. Brandon Miller stealing the ball and turning it into a statement. Trey Man going up against a 7-footer and winning. Jalen Williams cutting through 4 defenders and not flinching. Cam Whitmore throwing down that big lefty slam with the kind of power that makes you feel the reverb through a screen. Anthony Black flying over a wall of 4 defenders and landing on the other side. Shaedon Sharpe jumping over a Hall of Famer and posing. Stephon Castle putting on the second highest dunk score of the entire postseason on Isaiah Hartenstein in the Western Conference semifinals, with Victor Wembanyama watching from the bench with the best reaction face of the year. And Wembanyama himself, throwing the ball off the backboard to himself, from outside the paint, and finishing with a dunk that only one body in the world could have produced. This is why we watch. Not just for the championships. Not just for the standings, the trades, the drama, the press conferences. We watch because sometimes a human being does something during a basketball game that you didn't know was possible. And for 1 second, everyone in the building, no matter which team they're rooting for, is on the same side. Everyone is cheering for the same thing. Everyone is cheering for the moment itself. 2026 gave us a lot of those moments. And we can't wait to see what comes next.